do. I have spent some time preparing some comments. I think it's important. The last couple of meetings were really primarily for me to listen. I didn't have a whole lot to say at the last meeting. I'm confused. I feel like the message has gotten away from us. So I wanted my comments to be short. They're not as short as I'd like, so bear with me. I'd like to read through them. So I will be supporting our resolution before us this evening. It's well done, and it directly responds to the recommendations made by the Saratoga Springs Police Reform Task Force, and frankly does exactly what has been requested by the task force to move their recommendations along for action. I cannot understand all the divisiveness and contrariness, or frankly, why we are being so berated by the public commenters. But I do want to thank the entire task force for your work bringing forward this reinvention plan toward a community-centered justice initiative for the city of Saratoga Springs. And I want to give special thanks to my appointees, Kristen Dart and Dacia Harris. They have my sincere appreciation, and they certainly did their job. I am well versed with the undertaking before the City Council and accepting this plan and the recommendations contained within the plan. And the resolution before us this evening does just as described by the Governor's Executive Order 203. And it does not put us at risk for future state funding or being sued. I mean, sure, we can be sued. We get sued all the time, but I think we're on very solid ground. And we are taking this very seriously. The City Council finds that the inclusion and acceptance of the 50 recommendations are required in order to ensure accountability, progress, and transparency of the task force's recommended action items. The resolution outlines at a high level a plan to move forward on said recommendations in our section number 5. It is my firm belief that each of the 50 recommended action items requires further details and a further response. I mean, some of them are going to be very straightforward and will have a very easy response. Some of them are already completed, and we will get back to you with a plan. We tried to outline some of those details in our first draft resolution, and we were criticized by many members of the public. The City Council has been working diligently to respond to the recommendations, but I will admit I have found it quite difficult to work in this draft mode. Every time we print something for your review, we're berated, we're attacked, there's protests. You know, we're trying to take the public input in. We're trying to read your comments. We are reading through your emails. Most of the emails that were sent this past week were form emails, which is fine. I read them. I took note of them. But some of them were just excellent, excellent comments that deserved a great deal of attention. I thank those people and let them know that each of their emails were read by me. But there are so many people threatening us and making demands of the city, threatening our racing season and the City Council itself. You know, I'm coming to ruin your economy. I'm coming to ruin your racing season. That doesn't hurt me personally. That hurts everyone. And it does not allow us to open dialogue and move your recommendations forward. I think words matter, and making demands and threats is not listening or collaborating. It's taking a very rigid adversarial stance. Controversial topics, new ways of conducting business, reinventing policing in our society require comprehensive analysis, productive dialogue, and realistic deadlines. No-knock warrants and civilian review boards are being discussed on a national level, a state level, and we're discussing them right here. This City Council is discussing this, and we are taking these things seriously, and we are moving a recommendation forward to determine the most appropriate civilian review board for our city at the local level. It's right there in the resolution with a deadline. We're going to get back to you with how we are going to move this forward, and it will include a review of what you have presented to us, the task force, in your recommendations. This council is being courageous, and with their careful consideration of all 50 recommendations and their willingness to listen and construct multiple drafts to reach some consensus, we are doing exactly what we are elected to do, in addition to all of the other duties this job requires, and there are many. We are not taking the easy way out. We didn't cave to any one group. We are not afraid. We are not rubber stamping anything, and we're not kicking recommendations down the road. Recommendations, by the way, that came from the committee the council created by appointing 2 people each. The city's attorney has spent endless hours working with us and trying to get this resolution to reflect this progress. It is not perfect, and it does not please everyone, clearly, because nothing is ever perfect, and nor does anything ever please everyone. The task force spent months analyzing, interpreting, debating, amending the recommendation. The council has had it less than a month. And yes, we were following the meetings. I was. But still, to have a final document given to us on May 5th, we've done a lot of work between May 5th and May 31st. Reform takes time, and the Saratoga Springs Police Department is well on its way. The timing is so interesting, given that we're all watching the George Floyd trial, and it's incredibly upsetting. And we just came up on the 1-year anniversary of the tragic death of Breonna Taylor, who was shot dead in her home by white plainclothes police officers. As a result of these horrific acts, we're in the midst of a real wave of change, and I think we are witnessing a rising tide, raising all boats when it comes to police reform throughout our country and here locally. This is a resolution that should be soundly supported by all members of our community because it leads us down a real pathway of dialogue, consensus, and change. I expect the police department and the committee that will be appointed by the mayor will further develop each of the 50 items listed in the resolution and the plan. I believe we will be referencing this document for years to come because it is excellent. The document, the resolution, it covers so much. There's a section on police policy changes, culture and training for police, community-centered reinvention pilot program ideas, and a whole lot of data analysis, transparency, and accountability recommendations. And each item now needs further review, and that is what this resolution states. We need to ensure a proper plan, a proper accounting to the community and to the police department so that we're setting them up for success and not failure, and that we're setting our city up for successes and not failure. I meant what I said at our last meeting. I don't see where we are in any disagreement, but there are 4 of us on this council who understand just saying make it so does not make it so. And so, as a result, we have built into this fine resolution a section 5 called Next Steps. There will be accountability, there will be action, and it would be best to work with us and stop threatening us. We want to work together. Look to the next city council to support this too. As someone mentioned, many of us are coming off this council, and we're coming off fairly soon. Many of us will be gone in just a few short months, but I plan to do what I am able to lay the groundwork and foundation for a successful implementation of the task force plan. But is a plan that requires resources and further analysis, and those accommodations are included in our next steps. If you do not like what we are doing and want to threaten and demand, well then I'll be planning for budget transfers for police overtime services to handle all the protesting. Each one can cost anywhere between $8,000 to $15,000 to $20,000. I, for one, would prefer to put those funds toward the recommendations that you've made in your plan. But I can't do that because I have to ensure it's my fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers and residents of the city of Saratoga Springs to ensure their safety and ensure your safety if you come protesting. So I prefer open dialogue. That's what I want to see, and collaboration. Finally, I would like to send this along to the governor for comment and recommendation because I think our task force did an amazing job and has presented us a model that can be used throughout our great state. And I'd like to know what comes next from the governor and his Executive Order 203. And thank you very much. I hope my words meant something, and I hope they were heard because I'm still baffled by all the divisiveness. This council has worked hard to get to this point this evening. Thank you, Mayor, for that time.
Thank you. Thank you.